The final shape raid has arrived in Destiny 2, and I want to give you my opinion of what I think of this raid after spending way too many hours in it now. I mean, we spent almost well over 30 hours just trying to beat contest mode. It was absolutely insane trying to beat this raid, and I'm sure some of you are wondering what I think of this raid, especially as you know, most of you out there that are subscribed to the channel, I've been playing this game since the very beginning. I have around 20,000 hours played from the start until now, almost 10 years now. And so I've played every different year in Destiny. I've played every different, season, expansion, PvP, PvE, you name it. I've played it all inside Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. And my opinion of the final shape is really, really good. I mean, I would have to rank this when you're comparing just the quality of the content compared to everything else from what we've seen thus far. I'd have to rank it almost a 10 out of 10, truly, to be completely honest, when we're comparing it to previous content. Now, obviously, there's its own issues in and of itself. We saw the huge disaster with all the error codes on launch day. That was really tragic and really sad. And it's definitely frustrating when you're doing the campaign, and this isn't raid related, we'll get to that in just a second, but it's definitely frustrating that some of those cutscenes and some of the narrative got kind of ruined by that or put out of place. And Bungie's really, I'm sure they're reeling from that, and they're going to try and fix something like that in the future. But it's an extremely ambitious thing that they've done with the final shape, all of the different things they've brought together. And really, this is just the start of hopefully what would be the golden era for Bungie, and maybe what golden era for Destiny 2 if they can continue this hype and this momentum. We'll see, hopefully we don't just have like what we've seen in the past, which is like one really good year and then like one mid-year and then one terrible year, and then Bungie finally gets their head out of their ass and gives us some good content again. So the final shape raid though, this thing is just so good. The mechanics make sense. They're not just nonsensical. They are really complex and difficult though. I know that a lot of casual players are gonna probably be frustrated with doing this raid, especially with LFGs. You're really gonna have to dial it in and learn the mechanics. You can't just show up and say, yeah, I'll do the ad clear. You guys handle all those mechanics. I will be doing carries on my Twitch stream, and if you do win the raffle, we'll just let you do we'll let you do the ad clear as much as possible. But there's some situations where you just have to learn the mechanics. Fourth encounter alone is the one where it's like the all white room, and you have to essentially, it's like a vault mechanic, right? You have to switch the shapes around. That one alone is one that's going to be really difficult for LFG teams or casual players to clear. But honestly, that's not necessarily the worst thing ever, because Destiny should have some challenge. It should have some aspirational content. And if you do have someone that's a puzzle solving person, maybe they can get you through those mechanics, or maybe you have to spend some time learning some of those shapes and stuff. It is pretty complex, but it's not impossible for people to learn. And I like that it's complex, and that it adds a layer to Destiny 2 where you can play Destiny 2 as a casual player, not do the raid at all, and you're not necessarily missing out on anything. You play Destiny casually. You hop on, you play some PvP, maybe you like some modes, maybe you don't like some modes, maybe play some PvE. You're not limited or like left out of being able to do something. It's just, if you want to do challenging content, you're gonna have to spend some time learning some pretty cool and some pretty interesting mechanics, and getting your gear up. This raid boss encounter as well, so difficult. The mechanics tied in with everyone, and really just everything about it is just such a masterpiece from start to finish. The raid is just so good, especially someone that has been an avid raider from the beginning, from Destiny 1. I don't know if a lot of you know this. I'm sure I've mentioned this many times before on the channel, but I started playing Destiny, started streaming Destiny largely because I liked Crota's End so much. I liked the raid so much. The feeling I got when I beat Master Crota for the first time on day one and got to put on the Glowhoo shader and show up into the tower, and everyone was like, whoa, what is that? Like, the Glowhoo shader was such a flex back then, right? That was probably the first real flex maybe in Destiny 1 that I can think of, at least one of the big ones. And so getting that Glowhoo shader was like such a cool feeling, and being able to beat something that's really challenging content is a really cool feeling. We don't always get the challenge in Destiny 2. Sometimes the raids aren't as difficult, and I know some people may be frustrated with contest mode and stuff like that, and that maybe they can't beat it or didn't have that success. But really, all of the loot you're gonna get, all of the story is still there. I thought it was a really beautiful way to end it, where they chose to allow us to weaken the witness, but then we finish him off in the 12-man activity, so everyone got to be a part of the killing of the witness. even though obviously it kind of usually happens inside the raid where we kill the big baddie, right? We killed the final boss, as you can see here with the final boss encounter. Instead, Bungie decided to tell the story differently and create this 12-man player activity rather, and it was just so cool. It's like an Avengers style activity. I mean, I could just sit here and rant about how much I love the 12-man activity for hours, just because that was just so good. Like everything about it, all the mechanics, just all the culmination of the story brought together. Bungie somehow created something really special and really cool, and it was cool to have like our Avengers moment with that 12-man activity, and everything tied together really well so far, like with the story at least as good as they could tie it together. And so it's a really exciting time, honestly, to play Destiny 2. I know that some people have had some mixed opinions about buying the final shape. I'm not paid to be here to tell you to buy the final shape or anything. I'm sure a lot of you already have bought it and played it, etc. Or at least if you haven't played it or bought it, maybe you're watching it and you're kind of on the fence. It's so good. It is so good. It is 10 out of 10 so far. Obviously there's small issues. Error codes was a disaster. There's going to be things like that, but the work that Bungie has put in to this expansion is remarkable. It's almost like, who are you guys? Like, how did you do this? Like, this almost felt like it was like a different studio built this somehow. Like it obviously is clearly Bungie and it's all the Bungie stuff we're used to, but it was just so much more and so much like everything that the big part of the player base really wanted, in my opinion at least. You know, this is just my opinion. Maybe you're playing the final shape and you're absolutely hating it, and if that's the case, feel free to state your opinions in a constructive way down in the comments below. Of course, if you're just disliking it for no reason, or you just think it's garbage or trash, whatever, you know, you can kind of save those comments, because I strongly disagree with you. This has just been such a fun expansion to get into and play, and it really gets you excited for the future of what Bungie might be able to make with Destiny 2, especially as this franchise continues well beyond the final shape. Obviously it's called the final shape, but it's just the end of this, you know, light and darkness saga, and obviously there's going to be some new stories beginning very soon, and we'll see what sort of battles we're going to go on, and maybe some Vex stuff I've heard rumors of, so maybe it'll be some really big crazy Vex battles. Who knows what's going on? But anyways, I just want to bring you this video and let you know my thoughts about conquering the day one raid race. Somehow we actually managed to pull it off. I mean, it was just such a nightmare. We spent 15 hours the first day, and then the second day we spent like 13 hours or something like that. It was absurd. It was so difficult, much more difficult than any other raid race I had ever done previously, in Last Wish included. The only thing that made Last Wish super difficult was just being super underleveled, which just kind of felt cheap, you know? Like if Bungie just makes you really underleveled, then yeah, you just fold over when you get shot by ads, but that's not what this raid was. This raid was super difficult because the mechanics were really tough. Like you had to be fast, efficient, good loadouts, good awareness, and that's kind of cool. Like that's a really cool, like if this is the future of what Destiny content is going to look like, I think this is a good thing, because it kind of builds up the existing player base and hypes them up, and new players can still come in and play. Like I said, new players can still come in. You can come in and try it out. Obviously you're not going to be able to jump into the freaking final shape raid and beat it day one, but you know, after maybe a few weeks or months playing, you know, depending on how much time you put in, you might actually be able to conquer this on normal difficulty, especially as we get a feel for, you know, how to efficiently clear all of these encounters. You know, right now it's pretty difficult because the efficiency isn't there. We haven't had enough time spent, but a week or two from now, you know what I'm saying, people will be, you know, soloing some crazy encounter somehow, and people will be low manning all the other encounters, and it won't be that crazy. And then eventually there will be like the harder difficulty of it as well, so keep that in mind. But that was my opinion. 10 out of 10 on the raid. Literally loved it. It was so good. It was such a great launch, such a great experience. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments, and that's a wrap on this one. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.